Harry, should one be worried about constant floating but formed stools on carnivore? Is there any other symptoms? I'm in my 30s and quite fit. DC, are they, just put it down quickly, are they basically brown coloured? Light brown coloured. If they're light brown coloured, it probably means if you don't have any pain or symptoms, there are no other symptoms or pains, I would suspect you may have had gallbladder issues. And what happens with some people, they have very tiny stones, but they tend to not form big stones. Like my father forms big stones, and he had one that came out and really put him in hospital with pancreatitis, because the ducts go through the pancreas, as you know. But what happens is a bit like me, sludge. And occasionally I've still got a bit of sludge and it's still coming out. And what happens is all I can do is emulsify it with taurine and slowly try and force it out. And occasionally I get stools that are sort of floaties type thing, which is basically a light color, brown. But it actually doesn't happen constant. It actually happens occasionally, which means that I'm sort of at the end of that. I used to get quite a bit, a number about nearly 2 years ago, quite a bit. It was quite annoying in some regards, but now it's sort of just occasionally happens. Stools are pretty normal. They don't float anymore, but they just slightly discolored, which means there's not enough bile to basically deal with them. But I don't get any fat globules and stuff like that, so I'm getting still enough flow of bile, but there's sludge there that's still coming out. That could be an issue. Sometimes can be a thing. Look, none of us were born carnivores and had intergenerational carnivory. We basically came to it in the last couple of years, and we came from really poor diets and really poor things, and we did a lot of damage to our bodies, and now we're trying to sort it all out, and it takes time. Unfortunately, you got to be patient. It's just the way it is. But yeah, it sounds more like something like that. With, I wouldn't say, since you've got no other symptoms, I would say there's no stones, it's just sludge. And how much depends on how much of this you may be in a much earlier stage than me. And it can take a couple of, 2 years, to really, now I hardly ever, I mean, the last time I actually got was about a month ago, where I got a bit discoloration. That was about it. Normally, I just have normal stools and stuff like that, smaller than I used to them compared to my carb days. But, it occasionally happens. There's still some sludge there, and it's still clearing out. Taurine is helping emulsify and break that down and sort of move it along. But they're still there, and that's, it's just the reality of the situation. So, yeah, all I can say is get a bit of taurine into you. If you're eating enough meat, you should get enough, but probably a supplementation would help sort of speed the whole thing up. Initially, you may get a bit more diarrhea or loose stools when you initially do it, and then eventually that will happen for a smaller amount of time, and then that will slow down. Do about 2 grams, so you don't, really push things too fast. And I hope you're not on blood pressure meds. If you are, very slow in going in that direction, basically. So do not go fast, because it lowers blood pressure as well.